Haha, this is the part of the intro where I make a basic joke about StoryTime all following the same formula and having similar stills to Jaden. Haha, look at how funny I am. This is a joke, right? I'm following the basic beats of comedy without a punchline. Look at me. Ugh, goddamn, I'm sick of modern YouTubers. Hello everybody, my name is Noel the Bean, somebody who hasn't had enough coffee today, and I wanted to cover the topic of the rise and fall of storytime animation on YouTube. Specifically, I wanted to talk about how it started, why it happened, and how it could have been avoided. I think it'd be fitting to give a rundown of what storytimes are, since, surprisingly enough, some people don't know what they are because, well, they're not popular. Just look to older Jane Animations content or Brody Animates to get a basic idea of it. To start off my shit show of a ramble, I think we should go back to where it all started. And that was with the highly believed among the community, and the people who I can't research further back then because I'm too lazy, Swoozie and Domix. They probably did something similar to people before them, but like I said, I can't be bothered to research them. They set the basic groundwork for storytime animations going forward, with two main components of the people talking with their stills and animated bits that kind of demonstrate it. This happened around 2012 to 2014, so right after YouTube changed their algorithm to favor longer content that was pushed out faster instead of, shorter content that was made months apart. Side note I should mention is that this decision was, I guess, a good one. Hear me out. Prevented clickbait from being as prevalent and thus killed off their playgirls. From what I can tell, Swoozie and Domix got somewhat noticed from this, but they didn't blow up. What really kicked it off was when two animators who lived in the same state used white avatars, and one of them was a blob, told stories about their life, even covered some of the same topics. Give it up for Matt Spicer and Fox Goodman.
Kill me.
I kid, I'll probably cover them later. So that brings me on to a point. I'm talking about the odd ones out in Jane Animations, but since the odd ones out is hard to say, I'll just call them James for the remainder of the video. So the two of them made similar content to Domix and Swoozie, and I guess because they just had better thumbnails or just were in the right place in the right time, they started blowing up from this more than Domix and Swoozie did. It probably helped that Jaden got noticed a lot from her earlier animations working for large YouTubers such as I Has Cupquake, or I think that I had a research path. Yeah, just her. So since it was in the peak of YouTube gaming content, that gave her a bit of a boost. So when something is popular, people are bound to try to imitate from actual inspiration or just trying to get popular really easily, and boy they did. Matt Spicer, speechy. But that's an entirely separate moral dilemma. Due to the popularity of Storytime on YouTube, a smaller community built up under the big dogs like Jada and James, and created what I'd like to call a small animation community. To anybody who knew me before 2021, you're probably just sighing under your breath, knowing damn well where this is gonna go, but that'll be covered in part 2 of this show. So the community was built up of some creators that ended up getting pretty popular to the point where they were collaborating with Jaden and James. Notably, Brody Animates, Alex Clark, Hamations, and many more that I can't remember due to my T3AM stay. They all got decent views and actually collaborated with bigger creators. I forgot that. As a whole, they were starting to build their own community. And as creators say, fell off, you fell off plus ratio. Smaller ones that were already there took their place. I believe that Storytime Animation's peak was in 2017 to 2019. Storytime animation community fell to a state where I think that it will never rise again to where it once was, unless there's some serious dream level up.
I suck his dick with a smile for hours at a time. Stare at his nutsack while I hold back my cum tonight.
So this all happened due to a lack of content compared to earlier years. Where did the content go? What happened? So around this time, bigger creators such as Chipflake, Jane Animations, It's Alex Clark were either making content that their viewers did not enjoy or just switching up their content entirely. And thus, the big Storytime animator were just like. So, due to the major creators not making content about Storytime, people started moving on from it, including the smaller creators that were pretty much building it up. Without the major pillars to the community, smaller structures fell, and overall, it just collapsed in on us. What doesn't help is that around this time, creators such as James, Speechy, and a bunch of other bad apples in the community were getting negative light put on them by, one, their own misdeeds, by James being a racist, Matt Spicer being a fraud, Speechy just being an annoying shit, and YouTube commentators covering them. I don't believe commentators and the drama is what killed them, rather, death by a million paper cuts, or in this case, bullets, because they definitely, I'd like to say, play 16th of a role. Commentators, if you're listening, you suck. All of you do. Quit sucking off Leafy and make original shit. So to summarize it, without the original creators to inspire people to try their own hand at it, the community grew smaller and smaller and slowly divided itself, where it wasn't one big community, it was just a bunch of smaller ones. I'll talk this in the sequel. Storytime animation fell from grace. I'm aware that people on YouTube still continue to make story times, and some of them even still get a lot of views, but what I'm mainly referring to is, think about it. When's the last time there's been a storytime animation and you recommend without you having subscribed to somebody or you being a fan? When's the last time you've seen, say, Jaden Animations or The Odd Ones Out collaborate with someone? Storytime animation, even if it's big, isn't where it used to be. Hell, I don't think it was even a Rewind 2019. So, it used to be acknowledged by YouTube itself. Fucking MatPat of all people talked about in a video how YouTube killed Minecraft back in 2016 due to an algorithmic change that pretty much split off YouTube Gaming from the actual site due to a decline in viewers. But this was the opposite for Storytime animation. YouTube endorsed them, instead of trying to cover them up, actually promoted them on their platform. It wasn't YouTube who killed Storytime. It was the Storytime animators. My name is Nelvin. I need some coffee, and I am out. See ya, game.